Well, hello, and welcome back to Will of the Fans. My name is Will. Do you see what I did there? And welcome, one and all, once again, or for the first time ever, in fact, to Chill of the Fans, a show that I have said I would be doing for, I don't know, several months now, which actually never came to fruition for a number of reasons. Many things got in the way for a long time, but I don't like being the kind of person who doesn't see through the things he says he's going to do. And so here we are with the first episode of Chill of the Fans, a show whose format is more or less the same as what I do in my videos, but with the added emphasis that it is Sunday, for me, Sunday night, for some of you, maybe Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon. And, it's just a nice way to round out the week. Go over the news that we've already talked about, some that we never got time for in the videos, and just take a look at the world, have a bit of a laugh, have a bit of a good old chill. How's that sound? Pretty good, right? Anyway, that's basically the point of this show. We're going to read a few news articles, but of course, as this is a completely new format, I've not done it before. I barely have any experience of streaming before. Don't forget to let me know if I'm boomering absolutely everything here, so that I can get better at it. But most importantly of all, we're just going to sort of go over everything. I want to hear what you guys want me to do on this show, the kinds of things you'd enjoy, whether maybe you want me to play video games in future or something like that. So this first episode is just basically a bit of an experiment. Let me know how you're liking it in the comments, of course, and don't forget to hit that like button as well to help the stream get noticed by other people. It's all about getting the signal out there to help people out. Okay, well, there you go. That's basically what I'm doing here. There's T-Jap Steve, hello, with several drinks. I know I've just had a couple of beers, just didn't know if it was quite okay yet to go right ahead and have that on the actual stream itself, just me sitting here casually drinking. I don't know what YouTube's rules about stuff like that are yet, but anybody want to go ahead and there's Juvan, someone I know in my personal life. It's nice. Thanks for watching, buddy. So this is it. Basically, I'm going to start doing this stream once a week. It's going to be very informal, very casual. We're just going to sit around, go over the news that we've seen already this week, go over some of the crazier stuff. For starters, we're going to talk about the strike. Of course, the strike, the actors are on strike in Hollywood, having joined the writers now. So that's completely and totally ridiculous. The whole Hollywood system appears to be crashing and burning as it always deserved to do, because as we all know, get woke, go broke. But it has got ridiculous now. These people are so damn entitled that they have absolutely nothing that they can be offered that will stop them from feeling ever more entitled to just constantly trying to tell us how to live, how the world should be, etc., etc., etc. And it's resulted in them all deciding to go on strike like a bunch of selfish, spoiled little bitches. And I mean, I'm here for it. And I believe you guys are here for it too. So that's great. I also know for a fact that my dad is watching. So, hey, shout out to my dad as well. So, but he's watching on a TV, so he can't be in the chat. Maybe next time. Anyway, let's get on with this then, shall we? Because there are a few topics that I discovered while I was trying to recap the week. Remember, I was sick at the start of this week, so it wasn't the greatest start for me. I missed out on a few stories. But we're going to have to start with the Hollywood strike, because this is more or less what a lot of us have been asking for years now. Basically, just give up and stop, and just basically stay, like, just stop. You are not going to make money doing what you are currently doing, and it just needs to be like it is. You have to hit bottom before you can start to improve on things. That's it. The writers began by saying, we are scared because you're going to use AI to do our jobs for us. Well, you know what, bitch? If AI is an actual threat to you and your ability to do your job, then you are not good enough at your job. AI is not that advanced yet. If you look at the kinds of stuff, the stuff that it writes when you put in like Chat GPT, tell it like compose a sonnet in the style of Shakespeare about cabbages or something, and it comes out and it's okay, but a human could still do better. So if you are bad enough as a writer that you have to be afraid of a fledgling AI system, you are a failure at your trade. As for the actors, I know deep fake technology exists. We're seeing it already. We're seeing de-aging get to pretty convincing levels already. There are a number of things going on that the actors probably have more right in many ways than the writers to be scared of, if it weren't for the fact that they're just a bunch of pretentious Hollywood sycophantic wankers. And they are the ones who are going on Twitter and trying to tell us that we should be throwing away guns and murdering babies and blah, 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 blah. Demonetized already, I know, guarantee it. Anyway, as I said, this is episode 1. It's an experiment. So if I'm going to boomer my way through this, I hope you'll be around for the ride. We're going to go ahead and take a look at one of the many articles that I would like to look at today as we go through everything and try to catch up. So I'm just going to get practicing here, sharing my screen, because I haven't done it for a while on my own stream. I'm used to doing it on Saturday Night Hypnosis with the boys and girl, of course. TJAP Steve, of course, talking here. Says, I maintain the writers were already using AI and suddenly realized, wait, the studios could do this too and not pay us for it. For proof, I present She-Hulk. Damn straight. She-Hulk is one of the worst written things that I've ever seen in my entire life. I can't stress enough. If you haven't seen the reviews that I did of that show last year, spoilers, it ends with me basically turning Super Saiyan. It was so bad and so lacking in talent, nuance, creativity, or just basic skill that it was an utter, complete and total mess. And that's exactly right, as you said there, Steve. Yes, absolutely. Oh, and hey, Simdal's here as well. Hi, Simdal. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it, you guys. I really do. Not everybody has to spend a few minutes to come here and support me on episode 1 of a non-entity stream on a very small channel, so I appreciate it a lot. But yeah, like you're saying here, Steve, they admitted with the final episode. I mean, what kind of ending to a TV show is it where you just break the TV show? You actually have the character leave the show and go and talk to the writers about how shit they are at their jobs. I mean, it's unfathomable. You're literally criticizing yourselves and making a joke of it. And then they went and congratulated themselves too with all of that as well. They went and said, hey, oh, well, yeah, well, we were really proud of the fact that we were able to preemptively predict what the audiences were going to be saying about us, all the haters, the trolls, you know, us, what we were going to be saying 3 years later, because, of course, the show began production or pre-production at least before COVID and didn't air until after it. So they had a long time there to sit and refine it and get it right down, and they just fucking didn't. No, they rested on their laurels. Of course they did. They're lazy, fat, stupid, talentless Hollywood writing trash, and everyone knows that. But they were really proud about how they were able to predict what we would say. And I would submit for your consideration that it's not very hard to predict what we're going to be saying in 3 years, because we haven't changed what we've been saying for 5 years. It's all been utter shit. The writing's trash. The casting is transparently political, changing races, genders, and pushing a message that seeks to indoctrinate children. Exactly, Simdal. I know. Who is investing in these projects? Who is so determined to see these companies crash and burn on the altar of wokeness? Who? Who is okay to back this up? And how high does it really go? There's no real way we could possibly predict that. And also shout out here to my buddy from Cebu City in Philippines, who's currently languishing in an unfair political prisoner situation. My man there, good buddy of mine who sometimes shouts out topics to me. Spend a minute today considering what it must be like for this poor guy having to sit in a cell unofficially using a laptop, and he still shows up to support this stream. Massive shout out, big lug brother. You know it. TJAP Steve is already in there with the chat. Well, it's like every one of these is like a super chat. You guys are saying some cool shit. Here's a prediction. If you dump a bucket of piss on someone, they're going to be mad. Call me Nostradamus now. Nerdstradamus. There it is. Exactly. That's what's happening. If you slap someone in the face every day for a year, and then you say, okay, I predict in 3 years, if I slap you in the face, you're not going to like it. Well, I mean, where do you want me to send your award? Because it's totally stupid. And of course, it's all come down to this now. We have writers out. We have actors out. Without writers and without actors, Hollywood does not exist. And it couldn't happen to a more deserving bunch of wankers, as John Nolte observes here in his article at Breitbart. Hooray for woke Hollywood shutting down. Yeah, agreed. I mean, I'm sure we know where he's going with this, but let's have a look anyway, because it's chill of the fans and I enjoy it. 2 strikes have shut down woke Hollywood, and that's a beautiful thing. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Hollywood is shut down, and we're all supposed to pretend we care now that people who hate us and target our children are out of work. Well, I'm too old to pretend. Hey, me too, man. I'm only 38, and I'm too old to pretend. As the last unicorn, as the last right-winger who, up until a couple of years ago, defended the entertainment industry as a vital American institution and creator of art, I am now pledging those delegates to my Blu-ray collection. Sonny Kim in the chat there. Hi, how you doing? Peace. Love it. The writers are on strike. The actors are on strike. What are they striking over? Don't know. Don't care. Exactly. Why should we? I mean, they have treated us for years now as if we are a bunch of stupid, field-dwelling Luddites who cannot think for ourselves and need them and their oh-so-virtuous countenance to be able to think for ourselves or have the faintest, foggiest fucking clue what we should be doing with our lives, how we should be raising our children and stuff like that. It's obviously not the case. We are much, much, much better educated than the average Hollywood actor. These people spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg, just like Ricky Gervais said. They don't know anything. They don't know anything. And the only thing that they're trained to do, in most cases, is say precisely what they are told to say. Even ad-libbing as an art is mostly out these days. It just is. It's ridiculous. No one even... You never really see any creative spark when you watch modern Hollywood movies. It's just, I'll say whatever I have to get this scene done. And if you don't like it, tell me my next line. It's just that. It's trash. They cannot even think. So why they think they should be able to tell us how to think? You know why? Because they are surrounded by sycophants blowing smoke up their asses and telling them how great they are. Telling them that they're the best of us. When in fact, in reality, they are among the worst. They shouldn't be taken seriously, not remotely seriously. And it's time they knew it. I really can only hope that this strike results in them all finding out once and for all how completely and totally irrelevant they are and always were. It's not like they even have skill anymore. It's not like the old days of the golden age of Hollywood. It's not like you've got Gene Kelly and Frank Sinatra and Fred Astaire going up and doing things that not everybody can do. You've got people just reading lines emotionally. And most of us can probably do that too. If we had the right look or were willing to sell our souls, then we'd probably be doing it too. But most of us would probably rather not. We'd rather be good, righteous people. Exactly. What we got here, Sindal saying they think the formulas in political dogma, there's no room for free thinkers and discovery. Everything gets dull and boring. Yes, everything becomes homogenized sludge. This is why Disney stuff has turned out to be just gray. It's the only word I can come up with. Gray and or beige. Just sludge. Just product. Just consume it, pig. But people don't want to. They want things that rip them out of their conventional thinking and take them in different directions that they're not used to. I want to be entertained, not just fed distractions. And this is the problem with your contemporary grown-up professional pretenders. You can't, if all you can do is produce sludge and do as you're told, in what universe should you be any kind of role model to anyone else? It's amazing that they actually managed to organize themselves into a union and actually get a strike going. What's Sonny Kim saying? The CGI animators are making most of the movies these days. They deserve more money than these crybabies. It's true. It's true. You probably don't even need the actors anymore, which is probably why they're striking. Because they're scared. They realize that their free ride is probably coming to an end now, and it's time to renegotiate a position that means that they can continue to ride through life by doing almost nothing of any real value. Well, I don't care. Do you care? Certainly I don't. What else we got here? So yeah, TJAP Steve saying it's hard to escape reality and be entertained when they force you to force feed you modern sensibilities and reflect the world of today. Yeah, exactly. You're correct. You're totally right. How are you supposed to be able to be entertained and get out of this hellish world when all of the entertainment, even the fantasy, the fantastical entertainment, like is just pumped full of contemporary modern politics and propaganda? People aren't that damn stupid. This is why we started to notice that it was a pattern back in 2017, 2018, Doctor Who, Last Jedi, and on and on and on from there. This is why we spotted it for what it was when it was, and we were told we were racist, sexist, blah blah, bigots. That's fair enough. If being awake, wide awake, aware, and knowing what I'm talking about, and knowing how to uh, define the difference between education and propaganda means that I'm a bigot, then sign me up. Bigot club for life. Whatevs. Doesn't bother me. Mr. Hab666 says in 2019, Disney had 7 movies cross the $1 billion mark. Now they can't get one. Oh, well. Yeah, correct. That's right. And I think the only reason that most of us would agree that the only reason they had 7 movies cross the $1 billion mark was because of Avengers Endgame. And the fact that at the time, I would say pre-COVID, let's say about 20% as many people as are now were awake, were paying attention. Now everybody is snapping out of it, looking around them, seeing that what they're being told is counter to the evidence of their own senses. And that is why the wave gets ever bigger in our favor, which is a great thing. It's absolutely a fantastic thing. Back in 2018, if I hadn't started spotting the YouTubers, the guys who are huge now, back when they were tiny, then I probably would have thought I'm just mental. I'm obviously the only one who thinks this is shit. But no. There are many. We are legion. They cannot stop us. We've got some more comments here. The audience understands the bait and switch now. Absolutely. Yes. Advertise one thing, give us another. We've seen that, of course, with thank you, Sindel, with Last Jedi. Is probably one of the greatest bait and switches that I've ever seen. I mean, actually, Force Awakens qualifies as well. You go in, you're expecting to see Han, Luke, and Leia. What do you get? Well, we all know what we got. It certainly wasn't that. My old buddy there saying, not many good projects have come out of Hollywood for years, although the new Mission Impossible is dope. Haven't seen it yet, but I was quite surprised this morning when I was on Saturday Night Hypnosis when I was talking to the coach. And he said he didn't like it at all, which is, good. Okay, it's good to have your own opinions on this stuff. Hopefully it seemed to be for creative reasons rather than, political ones. But yeah, basically I think that's great that you can have your own opinion. If you love it, I think Critical Drinker rated it very good. As from Heel versus Babyface is also saying that it's excellent. Basically, everybody's really enjoying this movie. I think the consensus is that Fallout is still the best, but this is still a really good movie and fantastic. If somebody has a different opinion based on their tastes or based on what they perceive to be the quality, especially someone with insider information like the coach, then it's important to listen to them too, because we don't want to get swept up like we used to be, easily swept up. It took years to break that kind of programming and wake up and realize that we are the ones with the power. We are the customers. We are not just pigs to be fed slop. We decide what we like, what we are willing to watch, and what we are willing to pay for, more importantly than that. So, yeah, it's all great. T-Jab says, the new definition of bigger is person who wants good entertainment. I need to get in touch with Webster's for this. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That is basically all it is. A bigot is someone who sees the cynical race swapping and gender swapping and political pandering and promotion of propaganda that goes into all entertainment, particularly children's entertainment, and says, I don't like this. This isn't entertainment. You're not doing anyone a favor by making this. It's sludge, it's shit, and we are not stupid. And that means you're a bigot. Like I said, okay, bigot club for life. No way around it. Cartoons that made us. Hello. I'm not believing she's leaving until after she's going talking about Kathleen. Yeah, we'll get to Kathleen Kennedy once I get through a few more of these messages, because honestly, I'm just made up that people are actually watching. I'm confused. Why do people say Little Mermaid 23 is a box office bomb when it made $500 million and counting? Because it definitely did not cost. What was the declared budget for that movie? It was like 200 something million. I'm going to have to Google this, aren't I? Let's have a look. Little Mermaid budget. Was it $250 million US? Yeah, right. Okay, so first things first. The declared budget, 250 million, is only the production budget. Okay. And thank you. It's $250 million declared. Step one, nothing that they ever declare is actually how much it cost. We've seen this with a lot of movies. Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, a lot of it was shot in the UK. And thanks to the tax laws of the UK, eventually we find out what was actually spent. Basically, everything they have made is 100 million over budget. That's a blanket rule, not necessarily to be taken completely accurately, but true nonetheless. $100 million over the production budget. Then you have to factor in marketing and distribution costs, which as a rule means 2.5 times the budget. So suddenly 250 becomes 625 million to break even. We're also then not factoring in the fact that the percentage of ticket sales that the company that produced the movie actually make back varies from country to country. And Little Mermaid had pretty appalling international, which means that they are making maybe between 20 and 40% back of whatever the declared number is internationally. So if they've made $500 million, you have to break it down by denomination of country. Then you subtract whatever percentage the theaters take. Then you subtract the production budget. Then you subtract the marketing and distribution budget. And what you'll find is that The Little Mermaid is still probably $150 million in the red. And that is unfortunate, but it's also the shape of Disney's path through life at the moment. If you look at a video that Valiant Renegade did a couple of weeks ago, he went through 8 movies Disney released, because Disney doesn't make normal films anymore. They don't make low risk independent stories that somebody wrote. They make tentpole movies and nothing else. Marvel blockbusters, Star Wars. Well, they don't make Star Wars movies because Solo lost money, but their entertainment, their Pixar stuff, and their in-house live action remake crap that they do. And because of all that, they are throwing $250 million a piece budget into every single film that they release. And these films are not making back that money. They just are not. After lengthy calculations, it turns out that Disney lost $900 million on just box office in the last 12 months, or say roughly 13 now. That's not counting the parks or any of the other stuff, the Disney Plus, which is still massively in the red, billions in the red. They haven't made any money in a long time. And even something like Avatar 2 coming out and doing really, really well can't actually be anywhere near enough to undo that. Because again, you got to apply the same logic to that movie as you have with anything else. So subtract this for marketing and distribution. Subtract this for merch. Yes, thank you, Sindel. Subtract this for ticket sales and market share. Sorry, not market share, theater share. And before you know it, that movie didn't actually make that much money either. Although it did considerably make a lot. But weighing that against 8 consecutive massive flops, each one costing them about 50 to 100 million. And before you know it, you are seeing a company that is absolutely hemorrhaging money. And like I've said many times, it couldn't happen to a more deserving bunch of wankers, because they've done this themselves. They didn't have to. They didn't have to do this. They could have just kept making great entertainment. I'm old enough to remember when Disney used to be a company that produced just even if I wasn't really into it, it was very girly stuff. It's like Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid, things like that. It's not my cup of tea. I was into Ninja Turtles and Super Mario and Superman and such, and Spider-Man and things like that. But, you had to admit, especially when you were watching the older stuff, your Snow Whites, your Lady and the Tramps, Peter Pan, Sword in the Stone, the quality was absolutely world class. There was no one doing anything better with animation, and the values they were teaching were good, solid moral values that children should basically understand and be exposed to. And somewhere along the line, they got infiltrated by the woke, by the activist scum. And at that point, suddenly they no longer care about upholding the values that have endured throughout all human history. Now all they care about is poisoning the minds of innocent children and creating more confused, miserable loners like themselves. And it is for that reason that they must be stopped. They absolutely must be stopped because they seriously, they are evil now. They've got no interest in anything good or righteous or decent. And I'm not saying that in any kind of religious capacity. I think everybody knows I'm not a religious person, particularly. I'm not practicing any religion or faith. I was christened, and that therein ends my connection to any religion. I still think that despite the horrors and stories that we've heard about religion over the years, better the devil you know than the new one that's come along and is actually in our face telling us how they want to smash our kids' mental psyches to pieces. So what we got here, T-Jab Steve, yeah, backing me up here. Little Mermaid still over 100 mil short, and the writers say they deserve more money for rewriting the classic. Takes a lot of talent to make the horror of the scuttlebutt. Oh God, I almost forgot about that goddamn song. That has to be, as a fact that a lot of people don't know about me, I'm actually a classically trained piano player. And my father was a long-standing professional musician as well, in the jazz world. So we're kind of snobs when it comes to music, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's important to have standards. That song, Scuttlebutt, should be used in Asian internment camps to extract information from people. You could do that. I couldn't. I don't think I could uphold. I think I'd rather you remove my nails than you made me listen to that. 2 or 3 hours of having nothing to listen to but that, and I would sing like a canary. I don't know if I could stand up to that. What's this? The Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. I have not paid much attention to that. Let me see. I know that Lego Star Wars has, as a separate brand from traditional Star Wars, pretty much typically always been of high quality, very tongue-in-cheek. I've enjoyed what I've played of it and stuff like that, but I wouldn't be able to tell you too much about the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. I can give it a watch if you want and let you know maybe next week. Based on the poster, let me see if I can bring it up here. Hold on. Okay. Lego Star Wars Holiday Special 2020 CGI animated. Oh yeah, this is back when I was absolutely vehemently avoiding anything with the name Star Wars in it. I wasn't going to be part of any of it. Not interested. Okay, so it's based entirely on the... Wait, is it? No, that looks like traditional Luke Skywalker there on the poster. But that's Rey. And that's fucking Kylo Ren. So, can anybody enlighten me a little more on this? Like, is this as bad as it looks now to me? From the first life day after the defeat of the First Order, Rey trains Finn to be a Jedi in one day. Sounds like it'd be a little bit too long for Rey, really. There's nothing that she does that is any kind of challenge for her, which is one of the reasons why she's a shit character. Rey finds about a key in the planet. Chris, what the Palpatine? Why is Palpatine? Oh, it's Lego. Right, okay. Does it have, what did you say, Steve? Does it have the first 15 to 20 minutes entirely in Wookiee with no subtitles? That would be interesting. I wouldn't be able to tell you. I haven't seen it. I tell you what, I might give it a watch. But the cast is actually okay. So they didn't get any of the big three back, but Kelly Marie Tran is still there playing Rose Tico. Billy D. Williams is still there. Anthony Daniels is still there, but they couldn't get Daisy Ridley. What the fuck, man? Oh my god. I don't know. I guess my opinion is cautiously no, not cautiously optimistic, cautiously pessimistic, massively pessimistic. But if I'm wrong, please let me know. I would love to be happily surprised by something. That almost never happens these days. Tijab, well, she would train him in the span of an afternoon tea, but he is a man. Ah, yes, he's a man. That means he can't possibly learn anything as fast as the immortal, perfect golden goddess that is Rey Palpatine, of course. Simdal, yes, an inferior man. Yeah, that's it. We can't help it. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, I am what I am. And if that makes me just naturally inferior, then you're all sexist. No, I don't give a shit. Say whatever you like. But don't try to tell me that there's no difference between men and women. I'm not having that. Anyway, right. So where were we? We were talking a little bit here about the Hollywood strike. Don't know why they are on strike. Basically, just that it's just an absolute shit show. They've become so spoiled and so entitled now that they are actually on strike. There was a time before this year, if you had told me the term actors strike, I probably would have told you, what the hell are you talking about? There's no way. Why would an actor ever need to strike? Now, I can understand the terror of AI, but mostly because all it's doing is exposing the fact that these people are too stupid and that they are not that necessary. And if your job, as I said right at the start of this stream, if your job can be easily replaced by a bot, you are not very good at your job. It's just the way it is. There you go. Ah, yes, TJAB Steve. Of course, the original Star Wars Holiday Special has nothing but Wookiee with no subtitles for 15 to 20 minutes at the start. I haven't seen that in about 25 years. And that's quite by design, I should point out. And here we go. Sindel, the bonus hole serves as a collector for the female force. Oh, Jesus. It's been about a week since I thought about that bonus hole. This is the world we live in now. The vagina, the channel of life, the place where all life must come from, is now considered a bonus to the primary hole, which is the, trash chute. There's absolutely nothing about this that makes any sense. But it's a perfect example, actually, of the many ways that society and the world in general has gone completely and totally freaking insane. Because if you actually think that that one is the bonus hole, then you truly are lost. You have no idea. I don't know what else to say about it. I have nothing but complimentary things to say about that particular location on the female body. So let's just say it shouldn't be considered an extra. It should be considered the standard, I suppose. There's my old buddy saying, boys have a bonus pole, girls have a bonus hole. That sounds like it should be delivered by Danny DeVito in an episode of Sunny or something like that. Boys have a bonus pole, girls have a bonus hole. That's the worst Danny DeVito impression you've ever heard. Let me make up for it by giving you 13 seconds of Eric Cartman. Hello. There you go. Okay. Right. Let's move back to the article for a second then. Okay. So no one cares about why they're on strike. Why should we? We shouldn't. They haven't earned our concern. If anything, they've earned our scorn and mockery. Why should he care about people who hate him, says Nolte? Exactly. You shouldn't. Why would I mourn the shutdown of a multi-billion-dollar industry dedicated to hating me, let's say, styling children, destroying my heroes, lying about my country, championing fascism, and taking pride in wasting everyone's precious time with a product that rarely rises to mediocre? I absolutely love this guy. You guys, if you're not reading what John Nolte says, well, that's fine, because I'll probably find it and read it for you in a video. But this guy knows what he's talking about. He doesn't give a shit. He will tell the truth, and that's a great thing in a world that is constantly lying to all of us. All I know is that Hollywood is shut down, and when bad things happen to bad people, there's no reason to pretend otherwise. Thank you for being more concise than I could be there. Hollywood is shut down, and that means our kids are a little safer. Hollywood is shut down. God bless America. Can't even argue with it. What were your first thoughts when you heard Hollywood is shut down? Mine were, oh no, who will make those 500 lousy TV shows that no one watches? Who will, let's say, style the children? Who will insult me for believing in God and free speech? Who will lecture me, scold me? Who will trick me into watching gay sex and guilt me into paying reparations to crybabies? This guy does not give a damn. He will not pull any punches. The timing of the shutdown could not be better. The movie industry was just starting to normalize the anti-science COVID lockdowns. Still got to be careful. Would like to stay monetized. Hopefully still am. Anyway, that's what he says. the fascist Hollywood championed, this shutdown could last months, hopefully longer, and cost these multinational syndicates that we call the studios billions. People walked off, sets have been left standing, movies and TV shows have been left partly completed. Completed movies and TV shows requiring promotion will not have access to the actors needed to promote them. The foo-foo festivals that screen movies no normal people will watch are likely shuttered for a year. It's like a nuclear bomb hit Hollywood, leaving behind half-eaten meals and still smoking cigarettes. Yeah, that is what it's like. And people are not making enough of a noise about the fact that that is effectively what it is. You are living in a world where the decadent society of Hollywood idiots has actually shut down because they've become too whiny and self-obsessed. It's like a singularity of narcissism. And it, again, I'm going to say it again, couldn't happen to a more deserving bunch of wankers. Sonny Kim, if actors don't want their likeness used in AI, they should write it into their contract. Seems like a more effective course of action. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. That's true. That basically is all that needs to be done. But I think they are annoyed because the writers' strike in 2007 stole the focus, and the actors are no longer the center of attention. I actually think that has something to do with it for a lot of these people. Well, you know why boys run faster? They have a stick shift and ball bearings. Very good. There used to be the saying used to be someone think of the children. Now it's someone think of the caterers. Yeah, more or less. Yeah. Nolty wraps this one up saying just paying interest on their loans for their latest $300 million piece of woke crap will bleed out the studios. Good. The studios have pledged to refuse to negotiate until the strikers lose their homes. Good. When people who hate me go to war, my only moral obligation is to hope for a long and destructive war, and hope I do. If you'll need me, I'll be over here enjoying my Blu-ray collection and keeping hope alive. Well, very good. Yeah, well said to Nolty there. A good article, solid article. Yeah, why should anybody care? What is going to be lost here? There's nothing that is of any value left in Hollywood. 99% of everything that comes out is tinged with this sickening, insidious, woke propagandist agenda that seeks only to brainwash people. In fact, it's probably a low ball. Everything they make is trash. Everything. The only movie that anyone actually gives a crap about right now is the independent movie, which of course is Sound of Freedom, a movie about an actual American hero who saved actual human lives from fates worse than death. That's why it's so easily risen to the top. A movie made before the coup, a movie made in earnest about an actual cause that is horrifying to consider. And a movie that was, shelved, hidden, suppressed, and then finally sold, comes out at long last, upstages literally, 3? At the moment, 4. Indiana Jones, Little Mermaid, Flash, and Elemental. 4 massive movies that in any other year, under any other regime, would probably have been gigantic billion-selling juggernauts. And yet, pound for pound, they are getting absolutely embarrassed by a movie that cost $14 million to make and was sold for $5. A movie that they actively did not want anyone to see. A movie about a guy who rescues children from living monsters. And there, to prove that point, is my buddy there, acting on behalf of the monsters, apparently. Nice one, Phil. Anyway, there you go. So, yeah, I mean, it's not at all difficult to comprehend why Hollywood is in this situation. The only thing that has been made this year, well, okay, let's be fair. The Super Mario Brothers movie came out, and not only did it prove me wrong, but a lot of other bigger YouTubers than me. We saw Peach swinging a halberd around, and we thought, oh dear, is she going to be, Mary Sue Peach? Is Mario going to look like a chump? Is he going to be an idiot? Is he going to be led around by the balls this whole movie? And no. And don't get me wrong, she is a little bit irritating, Peach, in this movie. She's a little too perfect, a little too confident, a little bit less of a damsel. It's not taken to any level that I would find to be offensive. And after a couple of small instances where I was like, okay, yeah, just shut up, Peach. Let's get on with the story. Very soon it becomes the Mario show and everything is done the way it should. Everything's done in the highest respect. The Easter eggs are glorious. The movie is great. I had an absolute blast watching that movie. Does it really count as a Hollywood movie? I mean, okay, yes, it does, in as much as it was made by Illumination, which is a Universal department, and one that thankfully has been spared from the rising tide of woke crap. But it's Japanese influenced. The Nintendo executives, Shigeru Miyamoto, was on set. They were there making sure that this movie is what it should be. They are not Hollywood. They are Japanese video game creators and directors and producers who have been spending their entire lives just simply trying to entertain people, children. The Latinx rage. Oh, yeah, there was a thing about that, wasn't there? I remember that. Oh, my God. Well, fair enough. I liked the movie. The Mario movie, I liked it a lot. I did. I liked it about as much as I liked the original Sonic. All I'm saying, though, is it's okay. It's not exactly a masterpiece. It's not an amazing movie. It's fantastic if you're a lifelong Mario gamer like I am, and you've been playing since 1989 or something like that, when I started playing Game Boy or whatever. If you're a regular person, it's just a decent, entertaining, wholesome family film for your children to watch and have a great time with. And that, again, is an extremely low bar. But when it's the only thing in a sea of woke, trash, garbage-ass shit that seeks to indoctrinate, brainwash, pervert, and corrupt those same children, the cream doesn't have much of a job rising to the top. And that is the same reason why a non-account indie film like Sound of Freedom, all it had to do was have a cause worth discussing, and it does. And do it in earnest, and do it faithfully, and mean well for the human race, and it does. Once again, those very, very low bars are what have carried that movie to the absolute top. And good for it. Good for it, because we need more movies like that. I watched Jordan Peterson discussing the entire subject with Tim Ballard, the real man, and of course Jim Caviezel, who plays him. And apart from a few moments where Caviezel gets a little weird, especially the Tim Ballard stuff, what he says in that interview is absolutely, like, I'd call it mandatory hearing for any adult in the modern world. Like, this is shit you need to hear from a man who has seen it, see what it's done to him as well. And that's why I won't move on this position. That man is a hero. That movie deserves to be seen, and everything else that tries to get in its way, especially Indiana Jones, should sink. It absolutely should. Sunny Kim, have you seen the Godzilla -0 teaser trailer coming out December 1st? No, I have not. What is that? It's funny how much I can miss, even though I think I'm a relatively well-informed person on the internet. Godzilla -0. -0 or -1? Wait, Godzilla 0. 5 days ago on YouTube. All right, let's see. Maybe I can get this on the screen and we can watch it. You're gonna have to let me know though if the sound's too loud. How's this working?
What's up, residents? We have some amazing news for you that have been waiting for the...
Oh, wait, this is a 4-minute thing. Where's the trailer in it? Boy, I don't know. This is why I should probably prepare this kind of stuff. All right, what are we seeing?
Down as the sounds of Godzilla's footsteps can be heard as if he's right next
This
to
ain't
you.
happening, is it?
And then we get the
Give me a second.
poster.
I'll see what I can find. All right, let me see what I can find here. Godzilla 0 teaser. I don't want some guy talking about it. That's my job. Okay, I think I might have found it. Just give me a second here. Simdal says Caviezel is so esoteric in interviews, he is hard to follow. Something deaf not all there with that guy. Great actor, though. Yeah, I quite like him. But I also feel that he is kind of a space case. He does seem to just he gets this stare in his eyes and he just talks like someone else is talking through him. Like maybe, just maybe, he believes he actually is the Messiah. And it's a little creepy. And if he could just learn to talk like a normal person, I guarantee more people would listen to him. Tim Ballard, thankfully, does not have that issue. If you watch the Peterson interview with Ballard, sometime after this stream, of course, um, I noticed that when Ballard speaks, you stop what you're doing and you listen because that guy has seen it. He's the real deal. He's seen the whole thing for legit. Yeah, he's Jesus, yo. I know he's Jesus in the Passion. I know that, but it's almost a little bit like he kind of thinks that he might be Jesus for real as well. Especially since his initials are JC. But that's just my opinion. I still think he's a great actor. I became aware of him, like 20 years ago in that movie that he did with Dennis Quaid, the one where he's a cop and his dad's a firefighter and he dies, but then he's able to talk to him for what's that movie called? Frequency. Really good movie. Not bad movie at all. I watched it with my mom. It was really fun. I've seen it maybe twice more since then, and I always remember that movie being just decent, enjoyable, action thriller kind of fodder. Not too much action, mostly thriller. Decent movie if you haven't seen it. Right, I think I found this trailer. 34 seconds. This shouldn't be too hard to get up on the screen. Hold on. Let's take a look, shall we? Okay. Can I get theater mode going? Yeah. All right. Let's watch it. CGI looks good. Assuming it is. Wait.
Godzilla. -1.
All right. Not bad at all. I think that looks kind of cool. I don't think there's anything about that looks, suspect or shitty. The CGI looks fairly decent. It looks pretty cool. Yeah. I'm not really a Godzilla guy. I've only watched maybe the first one in film school, but I think I watched the one with Bryan Cranston in it as well because I just wanted to see more Cranston. That looks really cool. That looks like something that's absolutely legit and should be. So that's cool. Oh, just gonna move up a bit here. The seat's getting uncomfortable. Anyway, so Hollywood gets what it bloody deserves. Japan, of course, makes good stuff for good reason because they like to watch it themselves. They like to be entertained. They like to escape. Of course, Godzilla is one of the most Japanese of Japanese brands. It couldn't possibly be more Japanese unless, a nuke dropped halfway through it in the first 10 seconds or something like that as well. Yeah, not Sonny Kim here. My nephew is obsessed with Godzilla. I'll be taking him to see it. Good. You should. Nothing wrong with that. Do it. If he can handle the big scary monster on the screen, then fair enough. When I was a kid, I was bloody chicken about stuff like that. Anyway, I got another thing here, and that's the other thing that I'm going to have to talk about because this week has been a strange week for the story of Kathleen Kennedy and her employment status. Now, I know as well as you do that this woman has destroyed, I would even use the word that I'm probably not allowed to say on YouTube that South Park used to describe what George Lucas and Steven Spielberg did to Harrison Ford in Crystal Skull. She's done that to the entirety of Lucasfilm. She has taken every single property that Lucasfilm ever created, that George Lucas ever created, missed the point entirely, politicized it, feminized it, and spewed it out to just effectively take a big dump on Lucas. I don't believe anyone is stupid enough to have lasted this long in Hollywood without that being a deliberate facet of their character. No one is that incompetent. It is impossible to believe. This was done with malice. I don't think that it's very hard to convince you guys of that. Kathleen Kennedy is a fucking assassin. She must surely have known and was thinking when she shook hands with George Lucas and accepted his company and his life's work from him. She must have been thinking, you wait and see what I'm going to fucking do with this, you prick. Because no other way it could have turned out like this. This is a person who has, you know, systematically and quite by design, in my opinion, shot down everything that was once good about Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and of course Willow. Now Willow is, you know, the tiniest grain of sand compared to Indiana Jones, which even I would say, and that's just me, I'm more of a Star Wars guy. Star Wars will for always be bigger than Indiana Jones. Well, it may not actually, who knows? But it has always been, it's always been bigger than Indiana Jones. So Star Wars was the big one. Star Wars was like, you know, dropping the tactical nuke. And then she set up a bunch of snipers, and they've been systematically picking off anything that looks ridiculous, remotely Lucas-esque ever since. No question. She has done this on purpose and quite honestly should be tried in an actual court. No, I see what they've been doing on Film Threat. That's fantastic, by the way. The prosecution has dominated. The fans have no interest in even listening to the defense. It's kind of unfair, but hey, credit to the guys who are actually trying to defend it, even though most of them don't believe what they're saying either. But this is one of the things that I think is a good question by Just a GOG, which I assume is Grumpy Old Git because of the picture there. Yeah, was she spit roasted by George and Stephen back in the day? Well, it's a little hard to imagine George Lucas doing that. He doesn't seem like the type to have an aggressive sexual side. Steven Spielberg, I guess potentially more likely, but again, it's hard to believe. Something's up though. Something was done by someone to someone at some point, and Kennedy knows it. She's got the receipts. There's just no way this woman managed to get into the position that she is in by actual merit. No one has anything to say about her except how fucking incompetent she is. No one. She's proven to either be like a Mr. Magoo level of lucky, but you know, for evil rather than good, or like genuinely an assassin who has gone out to and has the intellect to be able to work out exactly and precisely how to most effectively eradicate any interest in any of these brands. And she must have a motive. She must absolutely hate these men. Sadie Kim, yeah, years of having to get coffee. I mean, I was a coffee boy. I worked in various shops, had to make coffee for people. I guess not for years, but it didn't make me want to, ruin their entire life's work, though. I think it's, what's this? George frowned at her when she brought him a coffee and told her he wanted cream and not milk, and she swore then to get revenge. Yeah, then and there. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be something like this. I can't believe that anyone is that, like, stupid. Occam's razor is the concept, of course, that the most simple solution to any problem is most often the correct one. Find me someone who actually believes that Kathleen Kennedy is incompetent. By now, if she were incompetent, she would have actually had to have accidentally created a masterpiece while trying to destroy it. And she hasn't. The best that they've done is what? Rogue One? And that's not even that watchable. You watch it once or twice, it's okay. The last 30 seconds is basically the only thing that gets watched. The rest of it's like, yeah, it's okay. It's not bad. There's a couple of memes came out of it. The freaky CGI version of Peter Cushing and Carrie Fisher. That's about it. And we got Ockham did not take menopause into account. Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, I hope I would never find out anything remotely like that. But yeah, that is some bile that she's got. But she's how old is she? She's in like her 60s, isn't she? Kathleen Kennedy. How old are you? 160? No. She is hang on. 70. So she had menopause 25 years ago. I mean, 25 to 20 years ago, maybe longer. It's different for every woman, but yeah, I guess she just never quite got past that stage of actually hating everything that Lucas ever did. Sonny Kim, Rogue One was actually the best Disney Star Wars. Yep, I agree. Yep. At one point, I mean, I was one of those people, unfortunately, who went and saw The Force Awakens and came out saying, "Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was really good. I like that. I really like that." I watched it 2 or 3 more times with various friends, and there was this sort of feeling in the back of my head that was like, "There's something wrong with this." I don't like that they killed, Han Solo, and I was not sure what it was that was niggling me in the back of my head. What is it that's bothering me about this movie? What is it? I like Finn. He's cool. Poe seems nice. Would have been nice to see a bit more of Poe. The droid's okay, but it's obviously derivative. And then I watched Last Jedi, and I came out of the cinema with that with 2 of my friends, and again we were going, yeah, that was good. Yeah, didn't like any of the stuff with Luke, but it was good. Yeah, Rey's still too powerful, huh? Yeah, but it was good. What the hell was going on with Yoda being able to use the Force in the physical world as a ghost? Oh, yeah, but it was pretty good. Oh, that Captain Holdo, though, she was a real bitch, right? Admiral Holdo. And that thing she did at the end, that didn't make any sense. But it was, it was pretty good. And by the end of that conversation, I was forced to admit I didn't like it at all. I did not like what I had seen. It broke the universe. And that was that. About 6 months later, I saw the first episode of the female Doctor Who, and that was the end for me. From that moment on, I spent 2 days trawling YouTube for absolutely anyone I could find that was thinking the same things as me. Found my way to Bowles Trek, led me to Nerdrotic, and the rest is history. So there you go. Yeah, it was shock. What else you said? It's been forever since the last movie. Our fanboy brain went, yay, and we overlooked the bad bits. Yes, it's true. Some people were smarter. I believe the guy from World Class BS, he didn't like Force Awakens. But most of us probably, oh yes, of course, the stuff about Snoke. Yeah. And of course, him just getting unceremoniously killed. No, of course, it was insane, that movie. It was insane. And the more you think about it, the more things that come out of it. And so me and both my friends were sitting around having a post movie pint and trying to tell each other that we liked the movie while only being able to list things that we hated about it. And eventually we just basically all agreed, yeah, actually this movie sucked. This was terrible. This is the worst Star Wars movie ever. And so that was it was almost impossible to actually consider something like that being true at first, like a bad Star Wars movie, like a really bad, really insulting Star Wars movie. Can you imagine such a thing? And then, of course, the pattern continued, and it's been over 6 years now, nearly. What was that? End of 2017. Yeah, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, so 5-6 years now. And good for those of us who woke up straight away when they saw Force Awakens. Some of them, see, this is one of the things I said there, Steve. I thought that what Johnson had done was what we all thought Abrams had done with Lost, which was have an ending planned, the fans worked it out. And because you can't commit to an ending and can't accept that the audience are smart enough to have figured out what your surprise ending was going to be all along, now you have to change it. You have to twist it this way and build it that way. And what you end up with is a deformed mess of bits of ideas that have been stuck together like with string and sellotape until nothing in it is fit for purpose. And that's what The Last Jedi is, just an attempt to subvert at all cost, spurred on by Kathleen Kennedy and her rampant disgust, disdain, and hatred for every single thing that George Lucas ever created and made good. And I don't believe that it's anything else. I don't believe it at all. I just can't convince myself that it is incompetence when it is so very, very clear that this cannot be done by accident. And that's what I think. Anyway, it seems that despite our best interests and these rumors that we've all been seeing for several days now, saying that Kathleen Kennedy could be actually finally about to get fired. And no, this one didn't come from Doomcock. It came from insiders and all kinds of stuff like that. There's some more of my old friends back in England talking to me. How lovely. Hi, guys. Nice to see you. Yeah, so basically Kathleen Kennedy is now supposed to be getting fired. I mean, she's been supposed to be getting fired for, Jesus Christ, better part of a decade now. Certainly since we saw Last Jedi. We certainly don't need to we don't need to believe for a second that this woman is going to continue to have a job here. Any case, I think she is going to be staying around because allegedly no one wants the job. No one wants to run Lucasfilm. No one. Let's just, for example, just for shits and giggles, see how many of you guys want to tell me, would you be willing to try taking over Lucasfilm? Whether you really know what you're doing or not, just as a fan. Would any of you take that job? I would. I would take that job in a heartbeat. Absolutely, I would take that job, if only to completely destroy everything she's done and bring back as much as I possibly could of the EU and the way it's supposed to be. And I would decanonize the sequel trilogy immediately. I know it wouldn't be a smooth transition. It would be an ugly, very, very, very public mess for the first 6 months. And I wouldn't even want a fraction of her salary. I just want to be able to live very comfortably and be able to focus on doing good work. And this actually ties into a question. I put a poll up on my community post the other day asking if anybody had any questions for me. I'd love to answer some questions from you guys. One of them was, is there any universe that I would like most to write a story for? So, you know, anything. It could be like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, anything like that. And I think, you know, the story I would most like to write would have to be in Star Wars, because someone has got to do a good job on this. Someone has got to produce something that's actually good. The only problem is my condition would be I'm not going to do it if the entire last decade of Disney shit is still canon. That stuff's got to go straight out. Cut it out like a bad tumor. And yeah, that's going to mean a lot of rehabbing the universe, but it's still better than what we currently have. Easy fix, says T-Jabs. Chewbacca wakes up in the Falcon howling and realized it was all just a nightmare. No more pork snacky cakes before bed. Snacky cakes. Yeah. Get it done. Just wakes up. You could do that, actually. You know, you could have it like that episode of Dallas. You just have him wake up, or anybody wake up, actually. It doesn't have to be Chewie. It could be Luke. It could be a Porg. No, the Porgs would then have to be canonized separately. No, okay, fine. Anyway, doesn't matter. Whatever. You just basically just do it as ugly as Kathleen did it herself when she decanonized the EU. There was no preamble to that. There was just a announcement. Disney has officially declared the EU to be no longer canon. Okay, give me the job. Will has officially declared Disney's Star Wars to be non-canon. Done. That's it. then I would probably talk to Lucas, but I would don't know. I'm not sure what story I would write. At this point, I'd maybe be tempted to try to fix Luke, or I might just want to go far away from far away and talk about another entire story and just leave Return of the Jedi as the end of Star Wars. I'd also make it so that it's illegal to sell anything that Disney made. Now, of course, this means that the Disney stuff would massively appreciate in value. But yeah, basically, that's right, Blonde John. I would say, yeah, I would just absolutely get rid of everything that Disney has done and bring it back to it ends with the death of Palpatine, the destruction of the Death Star, the death of Vader, and the redemption of Vader and Luke Skywalker on Endor. If I wanted to add anything else, at least I know I have the technology to do it. I'm not a particularly big fan of Ahsoka Tano either. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I've just never really cared. I'm pretty puritanical when it comes to Star Wars. And if you were going to do a sequel trilogy, then you would do literally the Timothy Zahn novels. You do Heir to the Empire and see that through to the completion as well. The Death Star will have Mickey Mouse ears. Yeah, we all saw that. There was a meme picture of that a long time ago when Disney first took over. Let me see if I can find it. And I remember thinking, oh, yeah, this is not going to be good. I was never a fan of Disney. This is one of the ways that I have been ahead of the curve, as opposed to with Star Wars at first. Oh, that's not it. Where was the picture? Oh, no, it's the picture of the Death Star hovering over the magical kingdom. But no, the actual pictures that people were finding, the meme pictures, there were tons of them with Mickey Mouse ears as Death Stars. Let me see if I can find one. Tons of them available here. There's one. Another one. Another one. Another one. Yeah. Nobody was very confident in Disney. And I guess people were kind of happily surprised that Force Awakens was good. But, you don't really need to... you don't need me to tell you that movie is not good. And you've actually had time to think about it. Right down to the opening title crawl. That movie immediately just fucks the entire universe. Luke Skywalker's vanished. Why? Why would he do something like that? He just wouldn't. The First Order is rising. How? How would that be allowed? How would it ever be allowed? We are here now on this channel, on other channels too, talking about this literal attempt by Hollywood and the left and all that to subvert and undermine our culture and our way of life. So the only way the First Order could rise would be if the Republic were as corrupt as the modern governments of the world are in real life, supporting the New World Order. Oh boy, am I definitely going to have been demonetized by now, haven't I? Maybe. Let's find out, shall we? And still green. Yay, good. Fantastic. That's good. That means that I can actually make some money off this. Yay. Any case, back to Kathleen Kennedy then, because this fucking woman, she needs to be gone, but she's not going to be gone because allegedly nobody else wants the job. I don't believe it. I think most of you would. I mean, as for me, I would take on Lucasfilm for say 5 years, correct everything, seal it in stone with ironclad legal contracts, and make absolutely sure that no one can ever do anything like this again. Indiana Jones, I'm afraid it's too late. But you can decanonize. And you can take these things off of streaming platforms and shop shelves and everything like that. But it's too late to unmake this stuff. You can't do it. Anyway, it says here, a new rumor claims Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy will stay on in her position despite her disastrous leadership of the studio. The latest rumor comes after Lucasfilm's latest box office endeavor, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, bombed at the box office. The film has only grossed $131 million at the box office and another $126 million internationally for a global gross of $257.7 million. Now, Yeah, good. It's unfortunate to have to say this because you don't want to see classic franchises that and beloved characters bombing and doing terribly. No one is celebrating this in earnest. We're celebrating that this hasn't worked for them, that they're the ones who are suffering because of their hubris. No one is going, yay, Indiana Jones got emasculated. No, we're going, boo, Indiana Jones got emasculated. Yay, Disney is losing money because they did that. That's what's important. That's why we do this. What's that? Yes, exactly right, Blood John. Kennedy must have some dirt. She must know where the bodies are buried. She must have the receipts. No one else would possibly allow this woman to destroy so much so fast. Trouble-free employees. There's my good old friend there. Be sure to hit them up if you are looking for someone to handle your next project properly. Luke was pregnant, taking a paternity break. There'll be another trilogy with his children later. Well, that would be, yeah, okay, I guess. Better than nothing. Would explain why he's been gone for 20 years. Problem is the wars are over. The causes for the wars were over. You had to crowbar the universe back to, I could talk about this all day. Let's get back to the topic. Given these poor numbers and the film's estimated production budget of 300 million, which, where again, once we get the receipts from the UK where they were shooting large portions of this movie, it's going to turn out to be more like 400 million. Maybe less than that, but likely no less than 350. OMB Reviews, good old Odin there, going through the numbers and talking about just how absolutely tragic these things are. The Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is an epic disaster, but even the company's flagship Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian, a show that I thought was good for about 5 episodes, and then I just never watched it again. And the last time I watched it was in England with one of you guys in the chat. And after that, I thought, got better things to do. Kept up with the story, though. And the story sucked. It just turned what could have been a procedural Western bounty hunter show in space into a guy walking around being a surrogate mum while all the women were acting like men. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of Gina Carano, but, even that character wasn't that great. Anyway, the company's recently produced Willow series got cancelled after 1 season, so another disaster. Even if you look past Kennedy's handling of Lucasfilm and the results of the year, she's only managed a decline. The Force Awakens opened up to a booming $2 billion at the box office. However, subsequent releases saw big deadlines. The Last Jedi only brought in 1.3, and The Rise of Skywalker barely eked over 1. Now, you say, or well, not maybe you, but the enemy, let's say, would say, well, it still made $1 billion. It was pretty freaking great, right? No, it could have been $6 billion for all 3. As it stands, it was about 4.5, if that. So basically, they just barely made back the money that they spent on Star Wars. And if you think that's good, then you're not paying attention, because nobody starts a business or buys another person's business to break even. No. Why would you spend $4.5 billion to make 10, to make 20, to make 30? And that's just not what's going to happen when you poison the entire thing and make it so people don't give a shit about watching it. Even on the company's publishing front, its High Republic initiative has not found an audience after its opening book. A report analyzing Circana book scan data by Upstream Reviews found that the High Republic, sales have been a 90 to 95% drop in sales between the launch with Light of the Jedi and the current High Republic novels in barely over 2 years. Okay, so Indiana Jones, bomb. Star Wars, hemorrhaging money. Interest, down in the toilet. Willow, cancelled and actually removed from the platform as a tax write-off. 95% drop in comic book sales. Absolutely everything that Kennedy has touched has turned to shit. And there we go with $100 trillion. Very good. Despite all these markers clearly showing that Kennedy's completely mismanaged Lucasfilm on nearly all fronts, this latest rumor implies she will stay on board as president of the company. Yay! Sounds fantastic. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but whatever. This new rumor comes from Matt McGloin of Cosmic Book News. He posted on Twitter, also asked about Kathleen Kennedy getting fired, told no one wants the job, so likely not happening. Well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard. I mean, she's basically poisoned the well to such an extent that only a true renegade lunatic like me, who desperately wants to undo what she's done, would actually go in there and take over. Most people who are eligible for the job in the eyes of the current administration of Lucasfilm would probably not want to wade in and get dirty and have to undo all of Kathleen Kennedy's manifold mistakes. They just wouldn't. I don't mind, because I actually care. Unlike these people. The rumor comes after positing the Walt Disney Company was having heated meetings following the disastrous box office results of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. WDW Pro, channel guest Mexican Iron Man, love that guy, detailed this information based on a source inside the Walt Disney Company. Meetings that did happen were incredibly heated. There was a lot of heat in general related to Lucasfilm, related to the financial results. The way he described it to me started with the layoffs, and this isn't helping anybody's morale or anybody's sense of safety related to their jobs, just in general. Simdal, Disney will end up in Chinese hands at this rate. Most likely, actually, yeah. Anyway, there you go. So Kathleen Kennedy is probably not going anywhere anytime soon. There's that god-awful Holdo maneuver. But it was 1 in a million, And, yeah, it's just Disney. Disney is the most evil, wicked, stubborn, selfish bunch of pricks in the entire world. They always have been, and they're completely clueless too. They double down and they push through and they bulldoze their way through all of this trash until no one wants to watch their crap anymore. And anything that comes out and gets leaked is attempted to be suppressed as well. And we know this because we're seeing it right now with, of course, this. Now, this one's quite a new story. I probably should have brought it up earlier, but there's no way I can avoid it because this is mental. The first set photos for Disney's live-action Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs remake are as disastrous as expected. So, for those who don't remember quite exactly what happened here, Disney has spent the last decade race-swapping characters, gender-swapping characters, and politicizing absolutely everything. This much we all know, I think. They've been doing this for woke ideology reasons, and we're all fucking sick of it. But they've never done anything so egregious that it actually counters the entire premise and point of telling the whole fucking story in the first place. You can technically have a black Little Mermaid, and even though it doesn't make sense geographically, and even though it doesn't make sense from a scientific standpoint, a creature living leagues under the surface of the ocean would not get enough sunlight to end up having dark skin. Simple fact. True. Most likely would in fact be translucent. But not going to happen that way. However, you could technically argue, well, you can't say for sure if she's meant to be white, and there's nothing to say that she can't be black. And unfortunately, that's one of the things that Disney's done over and over and over again that allows them to call us racist when we say we don't like them changing things. It's a sneaky tactic that's allowed them to defend themselves against any criticism for a very long time. But now they've gone and done it. Now they've really gone too damn far, because this time it's completely tied to the very most basic core of the entire story. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The character is called Snow fucking White. Quote, her skin is white as snow. That is the entire premise of why her name is Snow White. And at its core, those race swaps would not work if you couldn't also tie them to the established branding. So, if you change Snow White's race, you must logically change her name and then lose the brand association. What are we going to say? Mocha Brown instead of Snow White. Caramel brown. I don't know. I don't want to use any of the obvious ones that could actually be considered racist. So, I'll watch out for stuff like that. But this is not, you can't call her Snow Brown. You can't. It's just, that's not how it is. Even if there is such a thing as brown snow, when it's been dirty and disgusting, snow is inherently white. hence Snow White. She could also be called Paper White, if you were so inclined, but it wouldn't make much sense. It wouldn't work. Lily White, Daisy White, any of these things. Snow White, of course, being about as pure because of the connotation that snow itself is already very pure until it lands on the ground and gets trodden on and things like that. It's inherent to the nature of the story. By race swapping it, you are shining the biggest light ever on this issue, and you haven't got a leg to stand on to insult us for calling you on it because her name is fucking Snow White, based on the color of her fucking skin. But you would be forgiven for thinking that was probably going to be the extent of the controversy when it comes to Snow White remade live action. And until a few months ago, you would have been fucking correct. Until Peter Dinklage came along and stuck his stupid face in the problem and betrayed his entire, whatever you want to call them, not species, they're human beings after all, but, he's a class traitor, not quite a class traitor, I don't know what kind of traitor, but a traitor nonetheless, and pulled the ladder up behind him, effectively removing potential employment for other people like him, other dwarfs, other small people. It's ridiculous. So he managed to turn this, what was already a laughably stupid controversy about race swapping and changing the color of the skin of the famously white-skinned character Snow White, and actually made it about the dwarves. And the result is, I mean, this is mental. We're going to get through this as quick as I can because there's still an emerging story. Though Disney is looking for a hit to help repair their cinematic reputation in the wake of their recently leaked set photos from their upcoming Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs suggest that the live-action remake is well on the way to being yet another box office disaster. Right, there they are, as seen in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, as viewed by, not Roxas, Ventus, that's his real name. Obtained by UK production company Click News and Media and shared by local news outlet The Daily Mail. Now, I've never really liked The Daily Mail very much. I've always considered it to be a sensationalist, Murdoch-owned piece of trash, fear-mongering garbage that I used to urge my parents not to read, but Mum liked the crosswords. But, every now and then they break something that's even stupider, and the world has become markedly stupider thanks to all this crap. So, there you go. The photos provide audiences with their first glimpses at the eponymous Disney Princess's 7 iconic companions, though Snow White and Jonathan, the Robin Hood-esque character replacement for the prince, because you can't have a prince, can you? Can also be seen in these photos. They are being portrayed by stand-ins rather than their respective actors. So this is what happened, basically. Look at this. Look at this. That is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Look at this. It's completely crazy. These people, I mean, they're supposed to be dwarfs, aren't they? It's nuts. There is, first of all, a guy who looks like he should not be allowed near schools, who's wearing a Woodstock tie-dye hoodie jacket thing. Next to him is what I can only describe to be a black female, fully sized woman, who is definitely therefore not a dwarf either. Next to them, a guy wearing a Peter Pan pirate hat and another hippie Woodstock, ludicrous, multicolored. Fucking, what is this? The guy next to him looks homeless, and the only indication that he's actually a miner is the fact that he's holding a rope around his belt. He looks out of shape. Yeah, it's completely ridiculous. This is completely stupid. The guy, look at this guy. He's got like a stick. He's wearing a beanie hat. They look like Rod, Jane, and Freddie from Rainbow. They look like hippie singers singing songs about time to get up and go to school. These pictures it's so bad. It actually looks, it reminds me of an educational TV show, like when it was raining in Britain, in the UK anyway, I guess, in the 1980s and 90s when I was at school. Oh, it's raining. You can't go outside for playtime. So what are we going to do? We're going to, hi, ARCO 606. Welcome to the show. Thanks for stopping by. It's okay. Don't worry. When you were a kid and it's raining, they don't want you to go out. You might catch a cold, that blah, 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 blah. So they put on some utter garbage TV show that's supposed to be borderline educational. And, it would be cringe and tacky and weird. And, the costumes were cheap and terrible and everything was low budget. It just looked like shit. This is what this looks like. This looks like this, like that, like a cheap educational show. You've got discount Jimi Hendrix there. And then I guess the guy in the blue at the front, the guy who looks like Gilderoy Lockhart's stunt double, he's just dressed like a dude. He's just wearing like a medieval style hoodie. It doesn't make any sense. And don't even get me started on Snow Brown. Her costume looks like it came from like a kid's Halloween costume. And of course, we have to address the elephant in the room. There's only one fucking dwarf. Only one of them is a dwarf, meaning that Peter Dinklage has actually successfully stolen jobs away from his own people. No wonder they all hated him so much. Snow White and the 7 hipsters. Snow White and the 7 substitute teachers. Snow White and the 7 years in jail. This is utter shit. I can't believe this. It's actually a little hard to believe that somebody actually released this. And they think that it's good. I mean, it's just terrible. This looks like Rod, Jane, and Freddie from Rainbow. You know what that is? That's a deep reference. It looks like these guys. Hang on. There. 3 assholes who used to sing songs to kids in this extremely homo-charged children's entertainment program from the 70s or whatever. That's what they look like. In fact, no, they're a dungarees match. They look more like dwarves than the people who are supposed to be playing the fucking dwarves. It's unbelievable. Anyway, there's going to be a lot more of this as the story breaks. There's another picture. How do you... This is such a misfire. The costumes look cheap. The people look homeless. Only one of them's a dwarf. Does he even have 2 arms? Looks like he's missing an arm. What a complete misfire. Get off my screen. The visual diversity also extends to the group's immutable traits, such as the fact that, yeah, one of them's a woman. They're all different genders. They're all different. One of them's going to be trans. You know this. They're different heights. They're different races. What the fucking hell is this? How can this exist? How? This is just amazing. This is going to be the biggest flop ever. How could you put this out for people? I go, oh, it's Snow White and the 7 Dwarves. Here it is. Looks like they're going to teach you how to do long multiplication by fighting dragons or something. It looks like Through the Dragon's Eye. That's an even deeper lore. I want to see if I can find a picture of that. That was one of the cheapest looking piece of crap educational TV shows that ever was made and showed to children in British schools. Here's a extremely low quality picture. This is what Disney's Snow White, Snow Race Swapped, and the 7 somethings of some description looks like. It looks like this, except I might even argue that this looks better. This was absolutely freaking terrible. Terrible, this show. It was convincing when you were 4 years old. But you know what I mean. I'm supposed to believe How was a different program altogether. Yeah, right. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna have to wrap this topic up soon because it's still an emerging story. There's not a hell of a lot. Chola and the Salvation Army dwarves. Thank you very much, Phil. Uh, any case, yeah. So that's about as bad as it really can be. I mean, I don't think anybody was quite expecting how bad this was going to look. I think we still thought that they would put some effort into it to try to compensate for the mess that they'd allowed to happen. But no, you've got guys in hoodies, multicolored jackets for no reason whatsoever. You've got Jimi Hendrix there standing next to a guy who looks like he operates a smuggling tugboat. And of course, Snow White herself looks more like Little Red Riding Hood in a school play. Thank you, Disparu, for sharing that. Okay, I got another topic I want to talk about today, and then I guess we'll probably wrap it up. There were many more things I wanted to talk about today, but this one is one that I've actually been aware of and talking about for the last few days. Are they really jailing people for not using the correct pronouns in the UK? I'm not sure. I am not in the UK. I live in the Philippines, but I have heard that this is something that is a threat in some places anyway. I don't know about sort of the London area. Apparently, you can't go straight to prison, but if somebody registers a complaint or something about it, then they can immediately create a lot of problems for you. Yeah, hello, Sir Edwin. Just drive by from work, prepping to go on strike here too. It's comedy gold to hear this fuel coming out of California. Yes, absolutely right. It couldn't happen again, like I've said a few times now already in this stream alone. Couldn't happen to a more deserving bunch of wankers. And even though it's not really a topic, I'm just gonna add one little thing here that I wanted to mention, but it's not worth going into. This you all know how much I absolutely hate She-Hulk, right? This show is the reason I swore I'd never pay for Marvel again. Not another cent. And it says here that amidst the writer's strike in Hollywood, one She-Hulk attorney-at-law series writer took Disney CEO Bob Iger by revealing their surprisingly low payment for working with Marvel Studios. It turns out that the person here who wrote for She-Hulk was paid a residual check from the episode that she'd worked on of $396. And they're actually revealing this information now because it is it's damaging to Disney for that kind of information to get out, because that shows why the show was so shit. They hired people who accepted $400 for writing a TV show. And yeah, if that's what you're willing to spend and that's what you're willing to pay, you get what you pay for. That was it. Anyway, that was just a quick one. And of course, one of the episode that she actually wrote was Ribbit and Ribbit, which was the unbelievably terrible episode which had Daredevil in it. So yeah, and that jackass with the jumping jetpack frog suit bollocks. Anyway, that's enough of that. Oops, I already put that on. Okay. So what I actually wanted to talk about is another topic that I haven't seen a lot of people talking about lately, in our circle anyway. But it's one that I think is quite important because, of course, it's once again about the indoctrination of children into believing things that are simply factually incorrect. In this case, as a big One Piece fan, as you can clearly see here, I've been watching this situation with the character of Yamato unfolding for a few weeks and months before that, of course, but it's only now that it's becoming kind of it's getting to a head. It's getting to critical mass. The new voice actress who joined the cast for the English dub that's finally going to be in production for the show came out and declared the character to be trans. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. Where's Hypnotic and that transnational anthem when you need him? Anyway, So this is a character who, if I know a lot of people maybe not anime fans here, but it's still important to consider. So bear with me if you will while I round out the show with this one. This is a character who is biologically female, born naturally female, and remains biologically female the entire way through the story. The only problem is her father is obsessed with having a son, and so he basically tortures her into behaving like a boy, pressures her, and manipulates and forces her to act as a male. Now, the trans community and the activist community on Twitter would argue that this makes her a trans man, when even by their own standards, that cannot be the case. What this is an example of someone being forced to be something they're not, which carries into Decepticons. That's actually a much better name. I might just steal that from you, Simdal. Thank you. Yeah, so if this person is supposed to be the opposite gender, they would have chosen it themselves, right? By the standards of the Decepticons on Twitter. Thank you again. But this runs counter to the narrative then, doesn't it, surely? Because the entire argument that these activists make is that you shouldn't try to tell people that they are something that they are not, even though that is exactly what they do. This then undermines that by them saying that we should support and honor the faux character and gender of this character that was forced on her by her father. Now, that's just getting into the actual subject matter of it. That doesn't change the fact that if you say something about this, and I've got to watch myself here because, I like doing this stream and it would be nice if it could make some money. Hopefully I still have monetization. Yes, I'm still small enough that no one cares. Love it. Anyway, yeah, basically this situation here is one where you're supposed to abandon all logic, all reason, and also actually act against what they usually try to say. These people, they're like, oh, you're being oppressive, you're transphobe because you don't want to admit that this person is really the opposite, which obviously we know that they're actually not. That's impossible. But they would have you believe that it is oppressive to force an identity onto someone that they don't believe to be themselves. Now, I would say bullshit. But, they take that stance, except in the case of this character who they think we should all be assigning the gender to because her father did. Well, really, it's just a desperate attempt to have anything in anything that stands up for them. Because you've got to remember that anime fans, poor old anime fans, those of us who remember the old days of good anime and like we're watching Akira and Ghost in the Shell before it became huge. OG Dragon Ball Z fans in America from, before Funimation got hold of it, stuff like that. We just liked the cool art style, the sexy girls, the strong men, the powerful fighting, and the cool animation. We just liked that. Yes, correct, Simdal. We used to just call this a tomboy. Absolutely right. But that's what it is. Now it's apparently you've got to be trans. So fair enough. But the voice actress who pushed this narrative is not alone. She was backed up by this obvious sycophantic wanker Steve Yerko from the One Piece podcast, which I don't agree that should be the name. I mean, why is that implying that there is only one Piece podcast? Because it certainly is not. After criticizing his attempt to push debunked Jan's transgender Yamato theory, anime YouTuber Rev says Desu receives false copyright strike from Steve Yerko. So, not only are you supposed to agree that it is correct and biologically and scientifically and morally and ethically sound to force the gender of one thing onto someone else that is not what they are and is not what they want to be, but also if you argue with it or you point out any of this or even raise the smallest or tiniest question about that, not only are you going to be called a hateful, racist, sexist, transphobic, but you're also possibly going to get attacked on YouTube and have your channel taken down. Or at least struck. So I guess we'll find out if this guy even ever hears about me. But that's what it's saying. After getting blasted by fans for attempting to push the debunked, remember, Eiichiro Oda, the the artist and writer who created and still produces One Piece every week, he came out and showed conclusive proof of the bio data of this girl. She is a female, and that's how we should call her. She also was included in a splash page of all of the female characters. And she was in there as a female. So, any attempt by these people to declare her as a man is absolutely ludicrous. Anyway, One Piece podcast co-host and Rick and Morty storyboard artist, yes, of course he worked on Rick and Morty, has resorted to abusing YouTube's copyright system in order to strike back at his critics. After previously covered by Bounding into Comics, Yoko provoked outrage among fans when he shared an original illustration on Twitter depicting Yamato in a shared men's bath. A recreation of a scene from a Series 1 arc wherein the heroines choose to bathe with the male characters instead of the female characters in order to better emulate her hero, Kazuki Odin, which activists regularly point as evidence of her transgender identity regarding her smelly Vivricard while Luffy cheers her on. There's the picture. It gets worse. If you didn't see my video about it, the hand that is depicted there with the stink lines coming off the Vivricard is speculated to actually be the hand of Oda himself, meaning that they are effectively calling him a smelly Japanese person. It's just a lie. This is not obviously drawn by Oda. This is obvious fan art. The proportions are all wrong. It looks more like One Piece in 1997 than One Piece today. Yeah, no. Among the outraged was anime YouTuber Rev Says Desu, who shared his... That's his name. Oh, yes, of course it is. I remember that channel. I thought it was two guys who shared his criticism of Yoko's piece in the form of a YouTube video titled Imagine Wasting Your Talent Like This. The Rev Says Desu's video was one of the many two-level critiques towards Yoko. It seems it struck an undesired chord with Yoko as the podcast apparently responded to the YouTuber by filing a false copyright strike against his channel. Well, there you go. Sharing a screenshot of the YouTube auto-generated email informing him of the strike, Rev Says Des informed the platform via his personal Twitter on June 11th that the One Piece podcast and their co-host Steve Yoko had filed a false copyright strike against my channel. In the video, I criticized their artwork because they publicly posted on Twitter. He explained the strike was clear abuse of the copyright system. Now, very good. At least this went on to result in Rev getting his, I assume it's a him, his account reinstated. His copyright strike was taken down. He went to YouTube, got them to fix this mess for them. He said, uncommon YouTube YouTube intervened and denied their claim. The video was reinstated and the strike removed. Excellent. Good. Thank you, YouTube, for doing the right thing once every now and then. Nothing too bad from there then, because obviously these people are lunatics. And it's unfortunate that something that was once quite reasonably wholesome and decent, like the anime fandom, now, don't get me wrong, there's always been a few weirdos in there, a few hentais and stuff like that, always was. It wasn't exactly hard, even back in the day, back in Web 1.0, to find, let's say, Rule 34 of characters from Dragon Ball Z, for example. There's always been a strange fascination in the anime community with the sex lives and anatomy of characters. We all know this. And unfortunately, that is one of the areas where this wokeness, this freakish behavior first began to really gestate and grow. Places like Tumblr, for example, where primordial wokeness really started to come to life. And it was during that time that these people were left alone in their own little echo chamber, reinforcing each other's complete and total lies and bullshit, and convincing everybody that they were right and that they should take this idea, this woke idea, this SJW stuff, this social justice rubbish, and take it out into the world and show it to people, because it's great to be a pervert. There's nothing wrong with it. We're not going to cause anybody any harm, allegedly. Yes, thank you, Simdol. Primordial wokeness is one of the only ways that I can think to discuss it. It was like that. It had different names at the time. Wokeness has become the ultimate catch-all term for it, and I think it deserves to be. It's the best. It's the shortest. It's the one. That's why they shat the bed. There we go. I'm back. Okay. So basically, this is where it came from. It came from sites like Tumblr and other places like that. I think most people can agree on that. But it's spread. And don't forget, one other place that has always had a problem with these fucking weirdos is, of course, Pokemon fandom. We all know this. You know what I'm talking about. You know what kind of artwork is out there. It exists. But unfortunately, it's because of these people, these social justice-y, identity politics obsessed, woke-tard invalids, that we basically can't have nice things. Now, I mean, I'm, let's say, a little too old to be watching the Pokemon anime anymore. Still play the games, though, because they're still really good. It says here, though, the Pokemon Company recently tried to come out with a forum for all ages. I mean, I don't know in what universe you would think that is a good idea in the anime space, but unfortunately, sometimes these companies, they don't quite realize what time it is, what world they're living in, what kind of people are engaging with their content. It's, you know, time to wake up and smell the coffee for Pokemon Company, Game Freak, and Nintendo sometimes. So what happened was, of course, as you would expect, immediately the discussions on the forums were, which of course would be very, very accessible to children, were concerned with things like sexual appetites, anatomy, and the like. I mean, first, the biggest problem that the anime has right now is the fact that the anime looks absolutely garbage compared to the animation from 20 years ago. This is appalling. Look at Ash there. He looks ridiculous. How cheaply made does this look compared to the original? Back when they used to hand paint everything. Anyway, just days after launching their family-friendly, franchise-centric discussion forum, the Pokemon Company has temporarily shuttered the platform in order to allow the moderation team time to clean up the flood of completely inappropriate posts made by a number of socially stunted adult users. I mean, it's just, it's funny, but it shouldn't be funny. But it is funny, because if you don't know, these people are out there. You are not going to like what you find out. As documented by several Twitter users shortly upon their opening, Nintendo's official Pokemon forums were inundated with posts attempting to raise wildly uncouth topics of discussion with the forum's all ages audience. For God's sakes, I'm going into it. Don't go anywhere. You want to see some of this. You don't want to see it, but you kind of do also want to see it. For example, per a screen cap shared by Nintendo, while earnest discussions such as what's your favorite Pokemon or any Mystery Dungeon series fans here made up a majority of the forum's early posts, they were quickly followed up by a storm of wildly unsuitable topics, including Pokemon Legends Arceus antagonist Volo isn't hot, I'm sorry. Remember that there are tons of beautiful adult men and women in the franchise, with adult as asterisked on either side. And Pokemon Scarlet and Violet antagonist Penny is trans, by the way. Yes, you can see if you look a little closer here, it's a little hard to blow it up to the size I'd need it to be. The first topic here says, what's your favorite Pokemon? The second would say, every Pokemon character is LGBTQ. Penny is trans, by the way. Did you guys ever have crushes on the human characters when you were younger? Reminder, there are tons of beautiful adult men and women in the Pokemon franchise. Follow isn't hot, I'm sorry. What is your favorite generation of Pokemon? And right at the bottom here, which girl would you tickle, torment? Yes, Simdol, correct. Internet opened Pandora's box. And where you find kids, you will find these people, yeah. That's why they need to be taken away, have their access rescinded and restricted wherever possible. In another screenshot shared by Pocket Nexus, forum user Most Random Gamer can be seen asking, what human character is the fruitiest? Oh, I know, I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh, really. It's terrible. It's absolutely appalling that this kind of thing is even a thing. But What can I say? I mean, it's god awful. Like, but it's so stupid. It's funny as well. As found by On the Down Low, though, other users raised such sexually charged questions as, I think I'm in love with Houndoom. And would you pursue a romantic relationship with a ditto? Yes. See, we've got the receipts. I am immeasurably attracted, says somebody here, to God of War, a plant person Pokemon. And of course, lastly, who is the most ticklish girl in Pokemon? I mean, why the fuck are you asking a question like that, you sick freak? The hell is wrong with these people? You're screwed up in the head beyond all recognition. Absolutely disgusting. However, it seems that Nintendo was not having any of these terminally online fans' behavior, and they immediately responded to these posts by handing out ban after ban after ban to offending users. Thank you, Nintendo. You're doing God's work. I just got banned from the site because I said Palladia Pokemon champion Nemona is a lesbian. Maybe, I don't know, right? Maybe, whatever your name is, Plush Second. Maybe you should just get a fucking life and stop talking about Pokemon characters who are by and large children and what you think their sexual preferences might be. Why is anyone? Well, this is so fucking stupid. Calls received that they had received the ban for asserting both that male characters, Palladia Elite Four member Hassel and Artisan gym leader Brassus, are married, and that Alfanada gym leader Tulip, Academy Battle Studies teacher Dendra, and Scarlet and Violet Academy nurse Miriam are in a poly relationship. Why? Why do you need to know? Why do you need to say this? Why? What the hell happened to your brain that this is even something that crosses your mind? You've been allowed too much freedom to explore your ridiculous fantasies. And now people think that it's acceptable to say this kind of crazy shit in front of children. It's not. It never has been. It never, ever will be. Well, that is the last thing that I really have to talk about today. The anime space has been a disgusting mess for absolutely years now. But at least, people like Nintendo are stopping it. They're countering it. Whoever thought we would go to the Japanese for some morals over perversion? Well, I mean, it's just the world we live in now. You have to accept it. You can only embrace what it is and do what you can about it one step at a time. Fortunately for us, a lot of this stuff will eventually begin to fade and vanish thanks to the dissolution of Hollywood, thanks to the writers and actors strike, halting production on absolutely everything and guaranteeing that project after project after project will be slowed by months to a year. We won't see a lot of stuff that should have been coming out next year until 2026. We'll still see stuff in the meantime, but it's good that they're shutting that down. Kathleen Kennedy, whether or not she's going to remain, I mean, it's just a bit hard to say. I don't believe that she's ever going to be fired. I think she'll die working for Lucasfilm. And that's the way I see it. And of course, special shout out to the absolutely appalling character costume designs and look of these characters in Snow White, Snow Brown, and the 7 politically correct perverts. They and there you go. And so I wrapped everything up, of course, as well by pointing out that we still have a lot of work to do. There are still people out there who are going on Pokemon children's forums and mentioning potential sexual exploits, advantages, flavors, and persuasions of a bunch of 2-dimensional teenage characters. So still a lot to do there. Anyway, that more or less does it for this first experimental episode of Chill of the Fans. I hope you've had a lot of fun talking to me. Let me know in the comments, and really do, please give me as much feedback as you want. Am I doing things too fast? Am I too many topics? Not enough topics? Anything you want to request? Perhaps you'd like it if I stuck some video games on while I'm talking, although that seems like the kind of thing you should do when you have some super chats. And at the moment, well, I don't really have any super chats. But thanks anyway, guys. I'm going to carry on doing this. I really enjoy streaming. It's fun. It's nice to see you guys in the chat interacting with me. It keeps me going. It gives me constant ideas on where I should be steering these things. So I'll be really happy to do that. I may approach in a few episodes, if this starts to gather a bit of steam, I might approach some of the boys from SNH and ask them if they'd like to join, or girl. In fact, of course, Cassie's there too. Maybe some of them would like to have a chat with me as well about some of these topics. Let me know what you think about that as well. As I'm saying, I am your servant. I would be interested to hear what you are looking for in this kind of show. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Hopefully I haven't done too badly here. I got my old buddy there saying good show. Thank you very much. And Simdal, of course, who's a great supporter of me and Hypnotic and other channels. Have a good one, Will. Nice to catch the first stream. You done good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that a lot. I was a bit nervous, actually, because, you know, I'm not a streamer. I'm taking my first steps, you know. So thanks very much for the support. ARCO606, great show. Thank you very much. It can all only go up from here. So thanks a lot for checking it out. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go wrap up my weekend, have a beer with my old man, and have a well-deserved rest. And I will catch up with you with some regular videos tomorrow. But until then, I guess it's time to just say, see you next time. And thanks very much once more for watching. And I'll be back very soon. Take care.